What do you do when you step into a new chapter with purpose and a diagnosis redraws the map before you've even found your footing? I'm Dr. Rowe, and welcome to Lifejacked, the Resilience Podcast. After 27 years in public education, from substitute teacher to interim superintendent, my next guest is living her rewirement era. She is the founder and CEO of Help in Schools and an adjunct professor at the University of Houston Clear Lake campus. And in this season, she's learning who she is beyond the titles, leaning on faith and taking one courageous step at a time, because courage doesn't require clarity. Today, we're unpacking what it really looks like to stay anchored in faith, connected to purpose, and surrounded by the right people when life is full of unknowns. I'm honored to welcome my guest, Dr. Rachel Alex. Dr. Alex brings deep insight and heart to the conversation about resilience, how we build it, how we protect it, and how we practice it daily, especially when the path is uncertain. We're talking support systems, energy stewardship, and the everyday courage it takes to keep going. Hi, Rachel. Welcome. Thank you so much for being a guest on my show. How are you?
I am well. And I'm excited to be here. So thank you for this opportunity to connect and share my story.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, before we dive in, I want to ask you, how do you personally define resilience, and how has that definition evolved for you over time?
You know, I never knew what resilience was until maybe the last 5 years, when it became a more of a coined term. So I always thought that you just have to keep pushing. You just get up when life knocks you down. But what I learned about resilience, especially over the last couple of years, is it's a decision. It's a decision to move forward even when life knocks you down, because you know that the only way to get to it is to get through it. And so resilience has to be a part of of your core beliefs and who you are, because otherwise you will never move forward in life without it.
I can't agree with you more. And it does seem like life-jacked moments are around the corner all the time. Sometimes you go through one after another and you're like, oh, I just need a break just for a second.
Yes.
And then other times you do get a little bit of a break, right? And it's like, woo, okay, that's great. And then you have a couple of wins. But I do really feel like you get knocked down, but the ability to get back up and keep moving forward and keep pushing through. I do agree with you. Like, that's really what resilience is. It's just like, you know what? No, I can't give up. I can't just lay in the bed. I can't just pull the sheets over my head and stay like that all the time. I got to keep going.
You have to, but I do, say, give yourself a moment to be human. It's okay to feel what you feel, because you suppress it, it's going to come out in another way. Feel what you feel, but don't stay there. Just get up and keep moving.
That's it. Don't stay there. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Don't stay there.
Now, you have a word that you use, and I'm a girl that loves coming up with words, right? Because I have my Lifejacked. And so your word is rewirement. So not retirement, right? Rewirement. Yes. So how did you decide on this word to describe this next chapter in your life?
Well, unlike retirement, when you hear that word, it sounds like you're tired. It sounds like you don't want to do anything else. But rewirement meant that I'm still very much on fire about the work that I do. I'm still very much aligned with my purpose and know that there is so much more work in me. So when you think about rewirement, you think about the word wire and you think about connection. You think about me connecting to me and what my purpose is, me connecting to the parts of the work that I love that bring me the most joy, and connecting to the things that I really wouldn't have done in a different season of my life for fear of failure or the fact that I couldn't risk anything. I had to keep it the same. But rewirement gives you permission to be bold. It gives you permission to be courageous. And it gives you permission to not care one way or the other because technically you're retired, but you're rewired. So it's exciting. It's exciting. So, it just kind of removes the fear. Obstacles are there, barriers are there, but for some reason, you don't care. So I love that. And this season of my life is the mindset of rewirement.
I love that. And you're right. It is interesting that in the retirement phase of life, I've heard that often is that people are like, you know what, I'm free and I'm not held down by certain guidelines. And I get to just do what I want to do the way I want to do it. Not that people couldn't do that before, but of course we have jobs because we have mortgages that kind of govern how we conduct ourselves.
Right.
You do want to be able to lead your life how you want to, but you also want to remain employed.
Yes,
But
of course.
yeah, but the thing is, I know that I've heard that in retirement it's very freeing and that you do have a sense of like, you know what, this is what I want to do and there's no judgment there, and I just throw caution to the wind and I just move forward and do what feels right for me. And I could imagine that's incredibly freeing. And I love that you said that it's about thinking about wires and thinking about connections. And I just think about even the connections that I have now, but and how they can jumpstart us to different places and different things into our lives. But I guess, going to that next phase where you're not having to wake up in the morning at a certain time. You can go to bed when you want to. I know my parents love retirement. I call them and they're like, we're still in the bed. And I'm like, it's 10 o'clock. What are y'all doing? AM, they're like, honey,
And
I'm retired.
and
Right. Yes, and my mom, I mean, she does her ministry, but she works when she wants to. She calls the hospital and says, "Okay, well, I'm gonna work Tuesday and Friday this week." And I told her, "I
and
love
that's it. And that's it.
you." Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now I know you do a lot of work with leaders and
Yes.
with your company, Help in Schools, and so I know there are different times, even outside of retirement or rewirement, but there are times in your life, even as leaders, that events can happen that rewire us, right? Without warning. Because I
Mhm.
know the leader I am now is definitely not the leader I was about 5 years ago. Um, and so when you're working with leaders, right? What is the very first question that you encourage people to ask themselves?
Well, I want to know, why do you want to be a leader? Like, what is it about you that has this that made you decide? It's one reason to step into the role that you were in, but for some reason you've decided to take your impact to another level. And now you want another level. And so when you decide those things, my question is what is your hope when you got there? So when you envisioned yourself in this role and you saw yourself successful, you saw yourself living it the way that you want to, I need to know what that vision is for you, because I don't know if the environment that you're necessarily in is necessarily the one that will get you there. I don't know if it's the mindset that you're in that is going to be there. If I don't know how to feed you information or give you guidance by recognizing where you are, because anytime you think about it, even with a GPS system, you have to have a current location and it has to be accurate in order for you to get anywhere. So I need to know where you are, but more importantly, you need to know where you are. So that way we can take those next steps, because self-awareness is one of the highest levels of leadership characteristics that most people dismiss. But you need that self-awareness. Otherwise, you'll consistently be defined by others.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. I think about as a teacher, how I was as a teacher and how I thought about certain
Mhm.
things. And then I moved into a specialist and how I thought about being a specialist and how I thought about education. And it's like, you're right. I had to think about, and be very aware of what I was doing and why I wanted to do it, and what would help me wake up every day to come to work. Because I know if you don't have your passion and your purpose, you'll just kind of be an empty, hollow figure, just showing up to work and just going through the motions. But I don't know if you're not really putting yourself into the work, if you're really going to get anything back. So I know that I agree with you, having that self-awareness of like, how am I showing up every single day? And if you have to end up rewiring yourself, and sometimes like I said, there are moments or events that happen that make you rewire yourself, or you're not going to continue on, right?
Yes. You have to be connected to that. Yes.
Now, you say that courage doesn't require clarity. Okay. So from your perspective, what does courage look like just on any given day when the future feels foggy, right? Because if it's foggy, like I don't have any clarity, so how can I be brave to move forward? Like what does that look like?
I don't know if this just comes with life or just so many experiences. The reality is what are you really clear about? Because you only know what you know. You don't know anything that's tomorrow, that's 10 minutes from now. We have plans, we have ideas, we have goals, we have all of these things of what should come next. But life is not that black and white. It's just not. We think that we know what's going to happen. Think about when you were in high school and you thought, okay, so when I leave high school, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and going to do this. And life was not like that. It was not at all like that. So if you think about courage does not mean fearless. It just means that you have to be aware that life is going to throw you curveballs, but that shouldn't be your determinant. Your determination has to be decided upon, do I really want this? And if I really want this, courage just has to be there. Now, fear is going to be a companion in anything that's unknown. I just say I put it in the back seat and put it in a seatbelt. I know I have to save a seat for it, but it's going to go along for the ride, but it does not drive. It does not drive. It does not keep me from doing anything that I know that I'm designed to do, because I never know. The thing is, and not doing it, I still don't know. So the thing is if you're going to be afraid, you may as well do it scared, because the worst thing that can happen has probably only happened in your mind.
Well, for sure. Next time I'm going to go do something big, I'm going to say, fear, buckle up. Hold on.
Buckle up. Here we go. We're going. I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing it anyway. So fear, just buckle up. Just know it comes on. Doubt has there. All of those emotions that are real, that keeps us sometimes paralyzed or keeps us from moving. Just know they're gonna go. So just put them in the back seat. Put them in a seatbelt. They're gonna be there. But do it anyway. Just don't let them drive. Don't let them control the playlist either. They don't get any of those things. Just don't let them. Do not let them have the playlist.
I love it. I know I need to cue "This Girl Is on Fire" by Alicia Keys. That's mine right there.
There you go. And they would not put that on your playlist. They were not. So that's just
for sure.
Yes.
Now, many of us are navigating identity, around our titles, right? Especially for those of us who are in education. It's a very title-driven industry, right? It's like, okay, what do you do? I'm in education. Okay, are you a teacher? Okay, and it's like, no, this is how I identify myself, right? I was like, no, I'm a specialist, or I'm a principal. I'm an assistant principal. I'm an assistant superintendent. I'm a superintendent. Like everything is a title. It's some type of title, right? So what practices do you feel help people reconnect with purpose when there's a role that shifts, or perhaps even within life shifts suddenly? Because even outside of work, sometimes that's how we identify ourselves as, oh, I'm a mother, right? Or yes, I'm a woman, or, and sometimes people feel like, well, if I'm not a mother, like then who am I as a woman, right? So people kind of get caught up in, and titles for their identity. So, you know, are there any practices that people can do to help kind of reconnect themselves out or connect themselves outside of just a title?
Well, what's bizarre is if there were no titles and somebody asked you, what do you do? Your title doesn't tell what you do. Because I can tell you that this is what my title is, but it doesn't tell you or explain what the role is outside of that. So my question is what do you do? Do you inspire change? Do you empower others to, live out their dreams? What does that mean? And I would encourage people that when people ask you, so what do? You don't give them your title. You tell them what you do, because otherwise that's all you'll strive for is a title, and it won't have any meaning or impact. And how does it align to what your purpose is? So the thing is when people ask you that, maybe you need to ask yourself, because you're not answering the question when people ask you that. What do you do?
Wow. No, I totally agree with you. Like, I think about it most often when I'm trying to decide where I'm going next, and why I want to do that, because I'm chasing a title, but I have to really, search inside to figure out, why do I want that next title that I'm going for? And I started realizing, like, I don't think it's the title necessarily that I'm going after. It's what that title does that is attractive to me, because I want to make an impact within that title. And so,
And that's different.
Yeah. And I had to make that shift. I know for me. And once I made that shift, it's like things kind of became different and the purpose became different.
Right. And if you get locked into just that, you lose the scope of impact and other potential impact opportunities. Because I know being in one seat, and you say, and people would ask you things like, so what do you want to do 5 years from now? Well, 5 years from now, what I want to do probably hasn't been invented yet. Right. I don't know. You think about 5 years ago, what was not here, what was not available. So I don't know what 5 years from now be. All I know is that whatever it is, I still want to make an impact. I still want to build capacity in leaders. I still want to create environments where students can have opportunities beyond their zip code. So what that position or title is has nothing to do sometimes with what I want to do or what I aspire to do. So the thing is getting outside of that without the title. Answer the question. What do you do? And when you're in the role, how is the role going to impact what you do? Do you need the role to do what you want to do? And if you do, then that tells me your aspirations. But outside of that, it's a title. And that's not my ministry to get you a title. My ministry is to help you make an impact.
I love that. And I can tell you, 15 years ago, or really 24 years ago, when I was a baby teacher just getting started, I would have never guessed that if you fast forward my life 24 years and that I would be a podcaster talking about resilience and motivating people all around the world, right? And thinking that, wow, that I would be recording on a screen with people and giving advice and sharing a platform. Of course, I would never have thought that. But I do believe that it's more than just a podcaster, outside of a title, right? It's more so of like, what do you do? Well, I motivate people and I help them realize that no matter what the circumstances are, that this is just a drop in the bucket, right? And it's a moment in time, and you will get through this and you will see another day, right? And you just have to focus on that. So I think that, we're aligned in that. And I think that's fantastic. So viewers, hopefully, we're giving you some hope, and that you realize that the same, don't try to get caught up in titles, and just try to live your purpose and try to figure out what that purpose is. Now,
absolutely.
Of course, life is full of unknowns, right? And that's what I call those life-jacked moments, is the ones that you did not expect to come, and they come out of nowhere. And some unknowns can be very exhausting, very debilitating, very life stopping. And so recently you just experienced that moment.
Yes.
And as much as you feel comfortable sharing, and you can share with the viewers and the listeners, the life stopping or life jacked moment that you just found out about.
Yeah, it's really bizarre that my last day of work, which was June 30th, was the day I received a phone call to tell me that I had an abnormal mammogram. Fast forward to having ultrasound, having a biopsy, about, 2.5 weeks later, I find out that I have breast cancer in my rewirement phase. And you talk about what knocked the wind out of me, because I had all these plans. I had all these ideas of what I was going to do. I was ready to go ahead in my rewirement phase, connect to the parts of the work that I love, to stay connected in those realms. I was actually in Austin I just was accepted into the TEA monitoring and conservative pool, where I'll get to go into districts that are in trouble. So I get to work with that. I still do my university work. I have contracts coming up that's working with districts and their leadership teams. And cancer has decided that, well, we're going to throw you a little curveball. Let's see how you do this one. And I was paralyzed for a minute because I did not know what to do. And I'm a Christian, and I'm a person that believes that you give thanks in all things. And I could not find where to be thankful. I could not find where any of those things were. So I had to sit. I just had to sit in it for a minute. I had to just get to a place in space where I didn't even know what to talk to God about. I did not know what to do any of those things about. So once I could get my mind around it, because I'm very careful about what I pray for, because prayer is powerful. So I'm very careful about what all of those things were. And I knew I had to give thanks. And the first thing that I had to give thanks for is for what it wasn't. I caught it early enough. I have choices in what my treatment plan will be. Mine is treatable, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that it's not hereditary. I'm thankful that I can have surgery and continue in my work. I'm thankful that this happened in a season when I was not working full time, that I could do it in my job, that I can do it in my own time. I'm thankful for all those. I had to get to a place to what I was thankful for, what it wasn't. And then thanks came. Then that's when it came. Yeah. And so it's just a time and a moment. And then from there, of course, I knew what to pray for. I knew what to ask for. Of course, I talked to my pastor. I did all of those things. But this wasn't something that I could communicate with everyone, because anybody that cares about you, when you tell them something that is life shattering like this, they have questions.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I had. I had a diagnosis, but I didn't understand what it was. You think that education has acronyms? You get a diagnosis, and you're going to start speaking an entirely different language with positives and negatives that just kind of blow you away. So naturally, I had to learn and realize what this was. So again, resilience had to come. So I had to find, where was my gift going to be in this? Because this is not something that I could plan. I felt like I can't plan 3 months out. I can't plan 2 months out. That's not true. I could plan. I could plan what I needed, and I can plan for how I want people to show up for me, and how that meant. So I have a list of binge buddies, coffees and conversations, snack runs. So just different ways that happened. I did an Amazon wish list of all the things that I needed, from ice packs and even Miralax. I mean, you name it, protein shakes. I love it. Because people are going to ask you, so what do you need? I empowered myself to allow other people to do those things. And it took the burden off of me. It allowed people to show up in a certain way, but it also put boundaries around me where I wasn't just smothered by it. And I did. And as I said, as I planned out, I knew what appointments I would have going forward. I knew what that looked like. I knew what my downtime would be. So everything that I planned after that, I made sure that it followed a certain schedule in which that it would fit around appointments. It would fit around time where I might be sick. All of those things. So I gave myself permission to live. So
Yeah.
resilience means I still have things to do. I'm still going to do those things. I might look a little bit different when I'm doing it, but I will find my new beauty in for my
Yeah.
act. And I know this. So the thing is I gave myself permission to be okay.
I love that. And you have rewired yourself, even thinking about cancer and how you're going to go through this. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. Had a photo shoot with my family. They all have the support squad shirts. I wore a
Yes.
tutu and a shirt and heel, the whole thing because I
Yes.
have cancer, but cancer does not have me, and I
Amen.
have things to do. And I've always been one to where I've been trusted with hard things, and
Yes.
this too will be something that I will conquer and I will use as a testimony for someone else that's helping. And I also started my own TikTok with just for cancer.
Yes.
And I share my learnings, I share my testimonies and things like that. And there's a whole community out there of people that can help you through that, to help you navigate through that. And that's one thing that I've learned in hard things. I can't
Yeah.
always use my circle of friends to help that because they don't know some of these things.
Yes.
But what I can do is get support groups that have been through it. I reach out to people who've gone through it. We may not be people that talk every day, maybe not even every year, but now we have something in common. So that's another connection. I do believe in connection and I do believe in purpose. And so in this rewirement season, where I have all these connections with all the things that I love and joy, obedience has always been my word. And I will do that. But with this level of uncertainty, it required a different level of surrender. Obedience requires you to surrender, and
Yeah.
surrender requires a different level of faith. And so
Yeah.
I am on a faith walking journey that I did not anticipate, but
Right.
I'm ready.
I love it. I love it. And you
I'm ready.
sound ready. And I really appreciate your courage and your vulnerability because I do have guests that have come on and talked about cancer, right? And they've
Mm-hmm,
talked about their journey. But all of those guests are either at the end of their cancer journey, right? They've already gone through it. And so they can say, oh, I survived. Here I am. This is what I did. Da, 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 da. And I've had a couple of guests who come on the show who are also strong, and they talk about, you know what, I've gone through it. I'm at the end, or maybe I'm still in it. But you're the first guest that I have had on the show that is at the beginning, right? And thank you so much for sharing your thought process, because hopefully, and your testimony too, because hopefully that will help someone else who just found out yesterday that they also, were diagnosed with that big C word, right?
mm-hmm,
And or maybe just a couple of hours ago, right? By the time they listen to this episode or view this episode, right? Because I have all
mm-hmm.
types of supporters and subscribers that I really appreciate, and they are all going through all different types of things. Or maybe there's a family member or someone close to them who just got that diagnosis, and they can watch this episode together. So thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing what's going on right now with you. Now, you did mention support systems earlier, and so within resilience, and within this resilience work that I do with people, I always try to make sure that I ask a question about their support system. We are social beings as humans, and that's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Is part of that is being social and making sure you have people around you. And so how can someone build a layered support system? Because I know it does have to be in layers, right? Because everybody can't be with you at the very close part, right? Everybody can't go to the hospital with you. Everybody can't go to your appointments with you. Everybody can't, right? You can't do that, right? Everybody can't have the whole caravan coming behind you. No. But so what does that look like? How can you build, layered support with family and friends and community? And you've mentioned some of those things that you do now, and you've even called Pink Sisters, right? That you every so, but you don't want to feel like a burden, right? So what does that look like?
Well, I take this approach not just through this cancer journey, but I believe in purpose partners. I read a book years ago by Dr. Darius Daniels, and it's about relational intelligence. And he talks about how relationships are so consequential, and we sometimes are careless in what we do in relationships. And one of those things is we put people in the wrong place and expect something from them that they're not designed to do. So I'm very careful about what it is, being aware of what I need, and then that determines who I need. So I have I say a village. I mean, I have many people that love me, but they all can't be in the place and space of what I need in that moment. So if I need someone to pray with me, I know who that person is. If I need someone that's just going to sit there and be sad with me, I know who that is. If I need someone that's going to challenge my mindset and all of those things, I know who that person is. If I need whatever that is, that's what I look for in that person. Oftentimes we make the mistake of reciprocity, thinking that, if I do this for you, you do this for me. Well, that's your design on their life. That's not their design on your life. You need to see people for who they are and what they are, and put them in position so they don't disappoint you. So putting like someone like me, I'm not the one that you call initially when you're ready to do all the crying and all that stuff, because that's not my ministry. But when you're ready to move forward, I'm the person that you call. But you have to decide where you are, what you need, and then decide who's that person that gives that to you. And we do that. We think this is my best friend. This is the one that does all these things. And that is wrong. Because what happens is they will disappoint you. I love my husband. I just adore him intensely. But there are just some things that he is not my show up person for, because that's not his ministry in my life. That's not his design for me. And you have to be careful with that, because you get hurt and they get hurt and it causes conflict and no one understands it. But the thing is you asked me to do something that I'm not designed to do. And I failed you. But what it is we do that to ourselves by asking people to show up in capacities that they're not designed for. So that relational intelligence, know who your purpose partners are. And you have to have that. I promise you, it makes a difference in your relationships.
Wow, that's so powerful. And I do understand that. And I agree with you, because I myself have learned that everybody can't be with you everywhere or in certain aspects of your life, right? And you're right. I have certain friends that I can talk to about certain things. And there are other friends that I know I can't tell this friend this, because they're not going to have nice things to say, or it's just not going to work. They're not going to be happy for me if I talk, because maybe they have their own stuff going on. But I've had to learn that. And even family members, sisters, or even parents, like you said, your husband, like you learned that, you can't share everything with everybody, because there's some things that people just don't need to know about, or they just can't handle that information, right? So you need to find that person that you can talk to and share certain things with. I love that. Now, for those of us who are anchored in faith, because you mentioned that you are a praying woman, you mentioned that you're a Christian and you have a high level of faith. What does it look like to actively trust, but while still taking practical, informed steps forward? And I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but I just kind of want you to circle back around for the viewers and the listeners again that may be struggling in that area. Because when you get that news that you weren't expecting, that life-jacked moment, it's hard. Like you said, it's hard to have faith in that moment. But it's important that you do have it. So how do you actively trust, but still be practical?
Years ago, I learned that for some reason we believed that bad things shouldn't happen to good people. And that's not true. The thing is a faith that can't be tested can't be trusted. And so when things like bad things happen, if I can easily say I'm a person of faith, and when everything is good, but are you still a person of faith when things aren't going as you plan? So we constantly pray and say his will be done. Well, if his will is done and you don't agree with it, you can't say that you're not a person of faith, that that's not what you choose to do. So I do know that with this comes those challenges and tests of my faith. But I'm not saying that God is playing with me that way, but I know he's using me for something greater. And I believe that because every hard thing that I've ever overcome, there has been something so beautiful on the other side of it every single time without fail. So,
Yeah.
if you try to live life perfect, you try to do, you don't want to do anything. Nobody escapes life without hurt or pain.
Mm.
And if you get to a place where you think that you're exempt, then you're no longer walking in a person of faith. You're just avoiding reality, because it doesn't say that no weapons won't form. It says no weapons will prosper. That's
Mm.
what the Bible says. And we can't take
Yes.
the parts that are convenient for us, or like, I've been a good person and I do this.
Yeah.
Okay, and all of that is beautiful, as you should, but you can still continue doing those things even in the hard times. That's where the glory comes from. Not when it's easy. It's easy to praise when it's easy. It's
Yeah.
hard when you're going through things. So if you can show that resilience, so you can show that faith, you can show all of those things in all seasons,
Yeah.
then you are who you say you are. Otherwise, I'm not certain who that person is.
Yeah, yeah. And you're right. It is hard, but like you said, if you have faith, you got to have faith all the time, consistently show up. I think that's one of the things that people like in relationships, right? Is like, oh, I like a relationship. I like the person that is consistent, whether it's your best friend or,
Mhm.
your partner. But that's the thing that, a lot of people like is the consistency. But I feel like that's the same thing with the relationship with God. It's like, he wants you to be
Mhm.
consistent.
Well,
You
I
can't be
mean,
a fair weather Christian. If you have faith and you want to be
mhm.
blessed, well, then we got to do this consistently all the way through, day in and day out.
Absolutely. Either you are or you aren't. And it's not to say that you don't get mad, or like I said, I needed to be human. I needed to
Yeah.
be upset. I needed to feel like I was raw. My life was jacked. I needed to go through all of those emotions, and because they're real. I'm not naive and everything is rainbows and flowers or things like that. But the
Yeah.
thing is that I choose to walk my talk. I choose
Yeah.
it every day, even when it's hard.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Now, as I said, there may be someone who just got, diagnosis or is waiting on results, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
recently, because people go to the doctor and hear this information every single day. So for someone who may be waiting on results, waiting on treatment, waiting on the next steps, in your opinion, how do you feel that they can hold space without spiraling? Because that waiting game is it's something.
Mm-hmm.
But um, are there any like maybe daily anchors that you have or rituals you recommend? Which I'm sure I know one of them.
Well, of course, I pray.
Yes.
And you just have to trust that that's what it is. But
Yeah.
in those days when I had to wait and I had to wait and I had to wait, um, I had to realize, because my kids would call me every day, Mom, you hear anything? Mom, you heard anything? Mom, you hear any results? And I had to get to a place of, okay, so when I get the results, what's going to be different? I'm just
Yeah.
going to know. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
the thing is if just plan for it. The thing is, okay, so if it is going to be this,
Yeah.
then okay, then that's what it is. And if it's not, then this is what it is. So the thing is as you're waiting, write down your emotions, feel it,
Mm.
journal it, because somebody's going to need to remember that these feelings that I have of anxiety and anxiousness and sadness and anger, that they're real and that they are part of the process. But understand, when you get the result, you'll know. Okay, so when you know, then what? Then you're going to have to wait for the next thing. So the anticipation is going to continue to be there. And if you're getting this result, from what I understand from the people that are going through it, that's something that you're going to have to always live with. There's always going to be an anticipation of the unknowns. Again,
Mm.
just know it's going to be a part of you for the rest of your life. Put it in the back seat, put it in the seatbelt. You're going to find out the results. They're not holding them. They're not keeping them. They're not playing with them. As soon as they know, you're going to know. And when you know, you're preparing yourself for, okay, and talk to somebody about it. If this happens, take somebody with you who can listen for you. You know, do all of those things. Just prepare yourself for what you think you might need. And so that way you at least feel equipped and you feel like you have some control over what's about to happen. So you're just not just sitting there helpless, like, I just don't know. No, you don't. You don't.
Right.
You really don't. And then
Yeah.
when you find out, then you'll know. And then guess what? Then you're going to wait for the next thing. And it's okay to feel what you feel. Just don't live there. Don't sit and sulk. Keep going. Just keep going, because you didn't know that I didn't know that on July 16th that I had cancer. But July 17th, I found out. So you know what I did on July 17th? I still ate dinner. And on July 18th, I ate breakfast. I had coffee. I did my training. I drove home from Austin. I still did all the things that I always do. And I still had to wait for the next thing, for the next appointment. And I still had to wait for the next appointment. So until you know different, you keep going. That's what you do. You don't stop. Take a moment if you need it, but you don't stop. You don't stop. You
keep
do
going.
not stop.
Yeah, I love that. Keep going. Keep
You
going
run till you finish. That's what you do.
I love it. Yeah, you got it's a race, right? That's just this race of life. And then sometimes you have little short races and sometimes you have long marathons. But either way, like you said, you got to keep running and you got to just finish. You got to finish, right? For sure.
You have to. You don't have a choice.
Right. This is true. This is true. Now, so for caregivers and friends who want to help, right? But like you said, sometimes they may not be the most appropriate person for certain, events or activities or tasks. But for those that don't know, what to do, right? They may have a friend who or a family member who was just diagnosed, with some type of cancer or disease. It doesn't even have to be cancer. It could just be some life-altering disease. But what are 3 concrete ways do you think that people can show up with dignity, right? And presence? Because I know sometimes people do want to help, but then sometimes the things that they're doing is like, that's not helping. So what do you think are 3 things that people could do?
Well, one thing for sure is, like I said, I created like a Google sign up, and it has like 10 different things on there, from binge buddies, coffee and conversations, laundry, running errands. It could be any of those things. And I allow people to sign up, and they get to choose one of those ways that they would like to show up. So, and I gave permission in areas where I could be flexible, but I was very tight with certain things. There are just certain things that I don't want everybody a part of, but the things that I don't mind, that's where they can show up. So that was one thing, the Google Sheet. The second thing is pay attention to the things that you might need prior to surgery. Shower chair, if they're telling you that you need the mastectomy pillow, if you need a seatbelt holder, if you need all those things, and start paying attention to what that is. Create a shopping list for people to buy. People want to help. Here's a way that you can help me in my recovery. There's another way. So that's another thing. And then the last thing is just allow yourself, like someone close to you, to help you navigate some of that. I think, and that there's a person that everyone can reach out to and coordinate things with, because that's also helpful. So you're not inundated with all the phone calls of tasks and having to think about that. So you can appoint somebody as a point of contact for you, 1 or 2 people. So that way, if that person's not available, the other one is, because the thing is, your caregivers and people around you that love you like that, they're going to want to show up like really quickly and like swarm you with all sorts of things, but it's not a sprint. It's a marathon, and you'll tap out the people closest to you. You have to give levels of support so everybody gets a break, because there's going to be times that you're going to need them, but they're going to keep wanting to show up and feel like they have to, but you have to let them know how you want them to show up. It gives them permission. It gives you what you need, but it also controls and put boundaries around when is it okay. and when is it
Yeah.
not okay. Like I'm okay for company on Thursdays, and then that's the day that they can come, but not
Yeah.
the every day, but unless it's a certain group of people. But you have to know where you want outside, where you're comfortable. And I'm very boundary. I am very boundary. So the thing is, that's easy for me to give people permission how to show up and how to empower them to do something. And so those
Yeah.
three things: appoint somebody to help you take charge, set up a way that you can have people sign up how they want to, they want to, and then create a shopping list of things that you need, be it Amazon, and it's delivered to your house without everybody having to come drop something off.
Right.
Those are three things that I did.
Because also you can't just have everybody at your house too, right? As you're going through your
No.
treatment and recovery, so that's another thing to think about. It's like, I know people probably want to come and visit
Mm-hmm.
and all that, but sometimes it may not be safe, right, for you. So
It's not.
there's
Mm-hmm.
ways that people can help, but like you said, without swarming you and being all around you, because there are days that, you may not want to be bothered, but people can still
And,
show up.
and
So
one thing I know, you said three, but I just want to give people this. Social
yeah.
media is a gift because there
Mhm.
are support groups that are on there for your condition, and you can
Mhm.
just search whatever your condition is. And there's a group that you can go in, you can ask questions that probably no one around you can answer. Or you're going
Mhm.
to hear people sharing their stories, and things are going to make sense to you, or connections. Or as you become bold enough to share yours, you're going to have people that are going to encourage you in a way, but these are people that are either going through it or have gone through it, and their voice sounds different than the people that need to just love you through it, because
Yeah.
they're the warriors. They're there, they have the scars, they're there, they know what it feels like. They understand your fear, they understand your doubt, they understand it all. So I would encourage you, again, to find a support group through social media, be it if you follow it on TikTok, if you follow it on Facebook, Instagram. There are too many ways to get support without inundating people around you and you feeling frustrated.
Wow. Well, Rachel, Dr. Alex, like, I can't even believe that this conversation is coming to a close because it's been such a great conversation. But I have to put this photo up of you before I
Okay.
ask this last question. Because this lady right here is fierce and fabulous, honey. Let me tell you. So
Oh,
I love a good fill in the blank. Okay, because I'm a teacher, right? So let me
of
give you
course.
I'm gonna give you a
Of
sentence
course. Okay.
gem. Okay. Resilience is, and then whatever word or phrase that completes that sentence for you right now, and why. Resilience is what?
A choice, and it is a necessary choice to get through any hard thing. You must have it. You must embrace it. You must understand that it is always going to be a part of your journey. Choosing to get through it, choosing to get up, choosing to accept what has happened in your life. It doesn't mean you agree with it, but you accept it. Resilience will give you what you need to keep going. Without it, I don't know if you'll be able to move forward. So choose resilience. It's beautiful on the other side.
Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. All the choice and everything, and choose resilience and choose strength and have faith and pray and push through. Put fear in the seatbelt. Make sure you control your playlist. Oh my gosh. All these things. Fantastic. Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Well, Dr. Alex, thank you for the wisdom and warmth you brought to this conversation. You reminded us that resilience isn't a finish line, it's a daily practice. It's, you need to stay anchored in faith, connected to purpose, and surrounded by the right people. Steward your energy, protect your peace, and remember, one courageous step at a time is still moving forward. Like you said, you're going
Absolutely.
forward in this race and you can't quit because you have to finish.
You have to
So,
finish.
yes. So before we sign off, Dr. Alex, please let the viewers and listeners know where they can connect with you.
Well, I am on X, formerly known as Twitter, as Dr. Rachel Alex. I'm also on TikTok, same, Dr. Rachel Alex. And share this on TikTok. I did start another page, and it's called Rachel. Believe it or not, Breast in Peace. So that is for my cancer journey that I'm capturing and vlogging along the way. So, and then helping schools are on Facebook and Instagram, but there are lots of ways to find me. But if you want to know me personally, that's where you go. Those few places.
Oh my goodness. Well, to our viewers and listeners, when life rewires you, lean into the spark. If today's episode encouraged you, share it with someone who needs it. We'll link the ways to connect with Dr. Alex in the show notes. Please subscribe, like, share, and leave a review. Dr. Alex, do you have any last words of encouragement for the listeners or the viewers?
I would just encourage you that it's always better to go through it. But my main thing is grow through what you go through. When you go through something hard and trying to go back to find, like, I just want to feel normal again, it is not designed for you to go back to be normal. It is for you to be forward and be better. So embrace becoming something new through hard things, because your new normal, your best days are ahead of you. So make sure you keep going.
Wow. Thank you again. Thank you so much for sharing your extraordinary journey and courageous energy with me and with the viewers and listeners on Lifejacked, the Resilience Podcast.
It has been a pleasure.
Yes, I want to wish you and your family nothing but blessings and abundance. Please take care.
Thank you.
Dr. Rachel Alex, everyone. Be sure to join me next time for more uplifting stories on resilience. Until then, keep pushing forward, embrace the journey, and remember that every setback can lead to a greater comeback. Dr. Rowe, signing off.